After first denying any ceasefire deadline, is Trump now taking another U-turn by floating a fresh countdown for talks? Trump says peace talks could begin in the next 36 to 72 hours. Is he again flipping on the timeline after days of mixed and contradictory signals? After taking revenge in the Hormuz Strait, Iran mocks Trump, insists that logical grounds are needed for diplomacy. After the Hormuz hijacking humiliation and Iran's defiant ship crossings, chaos over deadlines yet another embarrassment for Trump? Trump said that a renewed round of peace talks is possible very soon, with the New York Post reporting his comments about fresh negotiations with Iran on April 22. According to that report, the next round of negotiations could take place within the next 36 to 72 hours, based on U.S. and Pakistani mediation assessments. This development came after Iran earlier refused to participate in a second round of talks in Pakistan, citing concerns over U.S. positions and ongoing pressure. Iran's foreign ministry had said the U.S. insists on some unreasonable, unrealistic positions, accusing Washington of maximalist demands and frequent changes in stance.
Indeed, we were steadfast in the negotiation process because we know what matters are our focus and what matters we cannot accept. Some matters, we clearly said from the beginning, are not acceptable to us, and insisting on them by the U.S. will not change our positions. I think our positions are very reasonable and fair. Unfortunately, the United States has a hard time learning from past experiences. The United States insists on some unreasonable and unrealistic positions. Regarding the incident, the targeting of Indian vessels, that you referred to, our relevant authorities are currently reviewing whether it was indeed carried out by our forces. The incident is under investigation. We are still in a state of war. It is true that a ceasefire has been announced, but unfortunately it has been met from the very beginning with repeated violations by the United States. And the announcement that Iran's ports and vessels would be targeted by the United States has complicated the situation. Until such a situation exists, we cannot speak unilaterally about the normalization of traffic in the Strait of Hormuz.
Earlier reports said the U.S. had given Tehran roughly 3 to 5 days to respond to a permanent ceasefire proposal, linking the brief extension of the ceasefire to Iran's reply on a broader deal. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters that President Donald Trump has not set a hard deadline and that the timing of Iran's response would be flexible. Leavitt noted that Trump has shown a bit of flexibility by extending the ceasefire, allowing Iran more time to weigh the U.S. offer without an immediate hard cutoff. She explained that this flexibility is intended to give Iran's leadership space to deliver a unified response, rather than a fragmented or internally contested position. The White House said that the ongoing negotiations with Tehran are focused strictly on Iran's nuclear program, distancing the process from broader regime-level demands. U.S. officials have outlined clear red lines, including preventing Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon and securing the transfer of its enriched uranium stockpile as part of any agreement. Iran, however, has instead proposed to downblend its enriched uranium rather than hand it over to the United States, offering a compromise that would reduce enrichment levels without full physical transfer. Meanwhile, conflicting reports continue to circulate about internal divisions within Iran's leadership, with U.S. officials suggesting that the political and military wings are not fully aligned. U.S. officials told Axios that there is a clear disconnect between the civilian-led negotiation team and Iran's military and security leadership, creating a fragmented decision-making environment. Anonymous U.S. officials said, and I quote, "We saw that there is an absolute fracture inside Iran between the negotiators and the military, with neither side having access to the supreme leader, who is not responsive." Unquote. Meanwhile, Tehran has rejected the current model of U.S. pressure and has not yet committed to a concrete timeline for resuming diplomacy on Washington's terms. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has said that the U.S. naval blockade is the main obstacle to genuine negotiations, arguing that talks cannot proceed while Iran's ports remain under siege. Iran's parliament speaker and lead negotiator, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, has also insisted that pressure-based tactics will not work, warning that coercion alone will not bend Iran's negotiating posture.
great questions, and I will answer them. Let's level set on where we are. As you all saw yesterday, President Trump announced an extension of the ceasefire. He's maintaining and generously offering a bit of flexibility to a regime who has been completely tarnished because of Operation Epic Fury. There's obviously a lot of internal division. This is a battle between the pragmatists and the hardliners in Iran right now, and the president wants a unified response. And so as we await that response, there's a ceasefire with the military and kinetic strikes, but Operation Economic Fury continues, and the effective and successful naval blockade continues as well of ships and vessels that are moving to and from Iranian ports. We are completely strangling their economy through this blockade. They're losing $500 million a day. The Karg Island is completely full. They can't move oil in and out. They can't even pay their own people as a result of this economic leverage that President Trump has inflicted over them. So he's satisfied with that as we await their response, and we will see. The president has not set a firm deadline to receive an Iranian proposal, unlike some of the reporting I've seen today. Ultimately, the timeline will be dictated by the commander-in-chief and the president of the United States. Well, we obviously know who we're negotiating with because our negotiating team has sat down with those individuals in person. But obviously, there's a lot of internal fraction and internal division, which again just proves the effectiveness of Operation Epic Fury in the first place. You know, there's been some anonymous sourced reporting that there was maybe a 3 to 5 day deadline. That is not true. The president has not set a deadline himself. Ultimately, he will dictate the timetable.
On April 22nd, Iran released a video showing its naval forces seizing commercial vessels that it described as linked to Israel, increasing pressure in the Strait of Hormuz. The ships were accused of violating maritime regulations that Iran has imposed around the strait, according to a report by Iran International. The footage was described as the first video of this kind of enforcement operation since the war began on February 28th, giving viewers a rare glimpse of Iran's new blockade-style posture. Iran's semi-official Tasnim news agency reported that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, carried out the operation, underscoring its role in controlling the waterway. Amid the ongoing standoff with the United States, Iran claimed to have seized 2 ships and taken them to its shores, portraying the move as a test of its authority in the region. This marks the first confirmed instance of Iran formally detaining foreign-linked vessels amid its own blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, crossing a threshold in the naval confrontation. The IRGC also issued a strong warning alongside the operation, emphasizing that it will treat any attempt to interfere with its control of the strait as a serious provocation. The IRGC warned that any disruption to order and security in the Strait of Hormuz would cross a red line, indicating that further incidents could trigger a more escalatory response.